Welcome back, Earthrealm Warriors, to another Realm Kast Tarkatan Bite-Size episode. I am your Realm Kast host, the Mortal Kombat Phantom, and with me as always is my co-host, our Lore Master Yanni. Welcome, Yanni.
Thank you, Phantom. Today we're going to be analyzing Mortal Kombat 1's Rulers of Outworld trailer, breaking down different sections and looking for hidden references and visual details that you may not have seen.
But before we begin our deep dive into this trailer, don't forget, you can enhance your Realm Kast experience by joining us on the Soul Stream, where we dive into Mortal Kombat and engage live with you. So be sure to like and subscribe to be notified when we do go live.
Now, just as a preface, this discussion will not include any details or information from the opening cinematic or the beginning of Chapter 1's playthrough, just in case you want to go into the game with a full, clean experience.
Yeah, and we're getting pretty close to the reveal date, so, you know, this stuff is kind of getting updated all the time, but yeah, as of today, this is our deep dive and analysis of everything we've seen so far.
It's funny, you said we're getting close to the reveal date. I know you meant release date, but they've also just announced that there's a combat cast on the 13th, and I wonder if there's a final reveal there, maybe. But we'll see how that goes.
It's probably going to blow all these theories away, so...
Outworld can be both alien and intoxicating to Earthrealmers, while our realms are at peace. There are Outworlders who would prefer us to be at war.
All right, so right off the bat, as soon as that Mortal Kombat logo intro starts, you get a quick glimpse of Sindel's throne room. And Ed actually tweeted this out initially just to kind of give us a heads up of what to expect. So, you know, it's probably the only shot we really see of the throne room where it's empty. Liu Kang's dialogue saying Outworld can be both deadly and intoxicating to Earthrealmers.
We've already kind of addressed this previously in the sense that Earthrealm and Outworld seem to be a lot more closely tied to one another than in previous timelines. I wonder if that's specific to, you know, certain individuals, as we're seeing now with this group of, let's just call them, again, I like doing this, the Forces of Light, or if it actually does extend to the rest of the realm itself. We don't know, but I do find that interesting. I wonder if there's a certain sense of distrust between the realms despite their close ties.
I kind of wonder if somebody had become intoxicated with Outworld before, and, you know, maybe one of Liu Kang's friends just kind of succumbed to the pleasures of Outworld or something. Do you know what I mean?
Well, what if it's Shang Tsung? He has always been swayed by Outworld to actually defend them or fight for them in Mortal Kombat, right? In previous timelines, instead of Earthrealm, his native realm.
Yeah, if Earthrealm is his native realm in this timeline, we have no idea yet. So that's a good question. Next up, we see the parade, as I like to call it, but it's not really a parade because, as we kind of dove into in the Umgadi trailer, this is a progression. Like there's a bunch of carriages with everybody in it.
Yeah, the procession. I'm assuming you're
procession. That's it. Yep. Yes.
But I mean, we did actually mention this, as you just said, because there was a scene and you were wondering if it was going to be Kitana and Melina in it, and I said no, I think it could be this scene from here, the I don't know, parade, procession, whatever you want to call it. They're, in my opinion, on their way to the Mortal Kombat tournament, or they're on their way to go and see Queen Sindel. But if that was the scene, then Melina and Kitana would already be there by her side. So I have a feeling it's specifically for the tournament itself, and that's why everybody's parading around. But even more importantly than that, remember how I mentioned that we have been seeing the same scenes over and over, just from different angles? That is what I'm getting here again. Firstly, we see a Shokan and a Centaur like almost right by each other, which is quite awesome to see, because Liu Kang says, while our realms are at peace, I think, and just a Shokan and a Centaur together, maybe that means peace between the species. And for those who are unaware, the Shokan and the Centaurs in previous timelines were not on good terms. They hated each other to the point where the Shokan actually cursed them to be Minotaurs instead of Centaurs, which is why we got, I mean, there's one reason why, we got Motaro as only bipedal in Armageddon, much to everybody's dismay.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, we also see everybody standing around here wearing these dragon masks, which I'm really curious if that has any kind of significance. Well, you know, in a past episode, I accidentally called it the Dragon Parade or something like that. And that's why there's so many dragon masks around.
We did get a tweet by Dominic, who did address the festival itself. Now, whether or not this is the festival just in the daytime and extends, for a couple of days, or I think it does. He specifically. Well, let me just read the tweet out. The festival in Sundo celebrates Shiva Ranati. It's Outworld's biggest holiday, celebrating the honored dead by promoting reconciliation and forgiveness. Sundo's festival is Outworld's biggest. People travel from all over to take part. For most, it's the trip of a lifetime. So I wonder if this is related to that, or if it's separate in the sense that it's just for the whatever tournament they're about to have, or if they're all related to one another.
Yeah, I think it's all related, but we're gonna find out next week.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, even like aside from all the potential discussion we could have on Dominic's tweet just there, because I went into full analysis mode. I was wondering if it was Hindu inspired, if it was Hebrew inspired, because the word is like the different words here we've already addressed on a previous actually I think in our Umgadi trailer analysis that Edenia has Hebrew origins, and technically Shiva Ranati could either be Hindi inspired, Hebrew inspired, Latin inspired, because they all mean something different. It could be natural state. Shiva is the god of destruction. In Hindi, you've got Hebrew with Shiva meaning 7 days of mourning. Maybe this is a 7-day festival, and it is related to, honor dead, as it says. And then you've got in Latin, Renati meaning reborn, renew, revival, which again, it's this. He specifically says by promoting reconciliation, forgiveness, and dead, reborn, renew. I don't know. Like there's a lot of things that we could analyze here, and I think that I kind of did all that in that tweet itself, but I figured it was good to mention here. But
we had a lot of comments on your tweet basically saying, okay, so it's basically the Adenian Day of the Dead is how people were referring to it as.
Yeah, pretty much. I just find it very interesting to see, like, to just analyze it, to go into the reasoning behind the choice of words, to see if there is an influence from Earthrealm and such, see how much of that influence carries over,
Oh yeah, and that's something that Warner Brothers, or not even Warner Brothers, but Midway and NRS have done since the beginning, has been kind of integrating these different words from different languages, different cultures into their story that they're creating. But speaking of Shiva, I don't know if you noticed, but leading this group of people that are walking behind the crowd is what appears to be a female Shokin. I don't think it is Shiva, but it's just cool to see that that's something that's still getting put into the story.
Yes, because I mean, that is a very similar design. Like, for example, the horns, it's very similar to Shiva's MK11 design in comparison to her previous designs. I know she always did have like facial, like I'm pretty sure actually she did have horns and such, but it looks like MK11's model, if you get what I'm trying to say.
Oh yeah, I think I definitely see that.
As you just said, we've got Shiva, as we're calling her. We see another centaur behind her. Now, there's some people walking there, and I'm wondering if that has any significance.
Oh, the fact that they would show the people walking? I kind of wondered that too, and I played it back a few times to see if, maybe this was our heroes in disguise or something, but I don't think it is. I think it's just people kind of showing everybody celebrating the parade and celebrating the march through the city.
Yes, with their bananas or plantains or whatever it is hanging behind. And I think that's garlic.
It's Outworldian food, Yanni.
I mean, they're taking inspiration from Earthrealm. We've already agreed on that, so...
It's not garlic, it's barlic. It's a native Outworld crop. Everybody knows that. So in this next scene, we see... Melina looking distressed or disturbed, and then it cuts to it cuts over to Lee May actually watching on as these prisoners are bound up and taken away. And we don't know if these two scenes kind of go hand in hand or if it is, again, some clever editing, but to me it seems like something might have happened, and Melina's observing it, seeing these people getting arrested. But what I found really interesting is leading the people getting taken away is another constable, and this is something we kind of brought up in the Umgadi trailer. Li Mei is, what was it, the lead constable? Is that what her title is?
Isn't it first constable? I think it is.
Yeah, that sounds right to me. I'd have to look it up, the bio again, but basically she's in charge of all the constables. And I had asked you previously, I was like, does that mean there are more? And you were like, yeah, and it appears that they're all wearing the same uniform. So that confirms Li Mei's outfit is a constable uniform. It is not necessarily a Li Mei specific outfit. So
yeah,
you know, we can only hope that we're gonna get the Armageddon skins for her, but
well, I'd love to see her 3D era skins. But actually, if you look at 14 seconds, you don't just see a male constable in front of her leading the line of people who are bound, but also to the right, you'll see another constable.
Oh yeah, you're right. I didn't even notice that one. So, yeah, whoever these people are, and for whatever reason, the constables got them, all of them. And it makes me kind of wonder if there was some sort of attack on this caravan that the constables had to step in.
I don't know if it's an attack or something, but it could be the first time we actually see Li Mei, and it could be showing off like her work, I suppose.
Yeah,
like introducing her into the story, perhaps. I'm not sure, because I mean, you'd expect it to be something important if there's literally 3 constables, including the first constable looking over it, but maybe it's not as serious as we think it is. I'm not sure. This part I don't think we have enough to really go on unless it's just really an introduction to Li Mei or something.
General Shao.
Victor of the Tavarian War, conqueror of the Quatan Plains. All of Outworld is grateful for his service.
All right, this is probably my favorite part of any trailer so far. Just the General Shao reveal with his eyes glowing and that cut over to showing his face. Like, oh, it's so good.
General Shao.
Victor of the Tavarian War.
I mean, okay, he's called Victor of the Devarian War, conqueror of the Quatan Plains. So when I heard Devarian War, I thought Devora.
Yeah, exactly what I thought.
My thought is also, but her species are the Kaitin.
Yeah.
So was the war named after Devora? Has she already been defeated in this timeline? Or does it have nothing to do with her?
Originally, what was the status of her species in Mortal Kombat X?
What do you mean by the status?
Like, it wasn't like a reptile situation, was it, where she was the last one?
Shao Kahn actually burned their new hive. So it looked like Devora was the final sort of hive for the Kaitin. But in this case, maybe she has escaped. Maybe they are completely extinct, as you suggested. I'm not 100% sure, but I don't see them. Remember, Mortal Kombat, nobody's ever dead. So yeah. I don't see them getting rid of the Kaitin or Devora, at least in their entirety.
Conqueror of the Quatan Plains.
Shao Kahn is the conqueror of the Quatan Plains. Now, the Quatan is an area, but it's also the home of the Shogun. But their home is actually underground. They, at least in the previous timeline, they are actually a species that lives underground. And they have always served Shao Kahn, pretty much. They were, I mean, I mentioned at the beginning of this trailer breakdown that the Shogun and the Centaurs had a rivalry, and that's because the Shogun were the preferred species to lead Shao Kahn's army. And that changed after both Goro and Kintaro lost, and then Motaro had to come in and destroy all of our lives when we were trying to get through him in the tower. But so they've always been serving Shao Kahn.
You know, too, it kind of makes me wonder that this was something that naturally happened. In the original timeline, there was a great battle here, and that's why the Shogun started, you know, becoming part of Shao Kahn's crew.
That is a very good question. I mean, as we just said, we're seeing Centaurs, we're seeing Shogun, and maybe they weren't already a part of this society. Maybe that was only after Shao actually conquered the Quatan Plains. But at the same time, it could be that, because as I said, they're a subterranean species. So maybe there was a battle there, but it wasn't actually with the Shogun either. Right? So maybe the Shogun were always on their side, and then it could have been against the Centaurs.
Yeah, and maybe that's why everybody's kind of fallen in line in this timeline.
Yeah.
All of Outworld is grateful for his service.
It's that inflection in her tone.
Oh,
you
I know. The voice acting is so good on this part.
So good, yeah. It's so disingenuous. All
Yeah.
of Outworld is grateful for his service. It's like, maybe somebody isn't.
Well, too, another thing I was thinking is maybe she's saying it with a little bit of venom towards the person that is coming to her. Like maybe she just kind of had enough of it. And my thought is this could be after the Ngati confrontation that we saw in the Ngati trailer with Li Mei and Liu Kang. Perhaps they come to her and they're like, hey, Shao Kahn is a jerk. Something's not right. And then she's like, all of Outworld is very grateful for his service. Like
I think it's somewhere else. I actually think it's somewhere else. There's two potential points. One, where right before we see Shao saying that he's going to defeat Liu's champion, Raiden. So he's saying Raiden is our chosen champion, and then she's saying General Shao is our chosen champion. All of Outworld is grateful for service. Because if you look at the scene, she's in her throne.
Right.
So she is most certainly surrounded by people. The other potential scene is that Raiden and Shao are about to fight, and so she's introducing him, or he's about to fight somebody else basically, but she's introducing him with his title and explaining, more about him.
Possible, but I think I've got a bit more breakdown on this later that might shed some more light into that.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we got some quick fight battle scenes here, and this is a new arena for us, isn't it?
I think it is, because it really reminds me of the Portal, just different, because we do see a portal sort of show up there.
Yeah, kind of in the background, they're kind of just flaring up almost. It's strange to me, but yeah, I mean, we don't really have a lot of information on this one yet.
It's almost a lot of writing behind it. I don't think this arena has been officially named yet. I'm just having a look quickly to see if that is correct. Yeah, no, I don't have a name for this one, an official name. So, but we see a lot of writing, like runes kind of in the background.
Right. And then the fire is all green, almost like what we traditionally see with souls in Mortal Kombat.
So I have a feeling that this is leading to the Lost Tomb.
Possibly. I was kind of thinking the same thing when I saw it. I don't know why, but it has that same feel as the Lin Kuei trailer almost. That muted color tones, very white, and yeah, this could be an entrance to the Lost Tomb.
Well, we do actually see this specific arena in a different trailer.
Which one?
And it's funny because we actually just analyzed this trailer, the Keepers of Time trailer.
Oh, was it?
Now, I didn't realize it was the same arena because it looks so different, because the lighting is all different. There's no green. It's like as if there's a red moon in the sky. It's extremely red in lighting. Obviously, it could just be that it's sunset or something, but it looks very intense. Sorry?
It could be related to the story too. I mean, we saw the red eclipse in the reveal trailer, so yeah.
Exactly. That's a very good point. Yes.
Also in the scene, we see that Khan no longer is using his big giant ban hammer.
Wrath hammer.
Yeah. Instead, he has an axe, which is an interesting choice, and I kind of like it. This is General Shao. This isn't Shao Kahn, as everybody has pointed out every time we make that mistake and say Shao Kahn. But to me, it's kind of this idea of, he starts off with an axe and then he becomes Khan eventually, and he'll have a hammer.
I just don't see why you'd need to be Khan to use the hammer. You know what I mean?
I don't know. That it's better. I mean,
I think it'll be used to show some progression with his character.
Yeah, it's more badass to me to have a big giant hammer than an axe.
Even if it's probably going to have both, in my opinion.
I hope not.
As his what do you call them? Like his chosen weapons. So, like his gear pieces.
You think so?
Yeah, because
no, I hope not.
I don't know if he's going to become Khan or not.
Uh-huh.
If he is, maybe his helmet will be part of his gear pieces. but
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that his weapon will be a gear piece. And if that is the case, then we could potentially see the Wrath Hammer and some other axes, maybe, etc.
Yeah, yeah. That wouldn't be horrible. I don't know. The way that the weapon plays, I don't see that happening
Because of how he throws them on it.
yeah, things like that. Exactly.
It could still happen with the hammer, in my opinion. It just wouldn't impale them.
Right. And I don't know. I think that impel mechanism is a key hint at him not getting a hammer in this game.
That's a fair point.
You would consign us to endless war.
Better that than be Liu Kang's lapdog.
Did not your illustrious father teach you that war is the last resort? Do not forget that, General.
So I'm not gonna lie. When I first saw this scene with that moody lighting and that confrontation between the two of them, I still have flashbacks to Mortal Kombat 11, and I'm like, there's this whole will they won't they thing now. And I was like, are they in her bedchamber and having like a lover's spout? Is that what this is? But I think you pointed out to me that this is actually in the war room.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is the war room.
I think you're
don't know.
right. I hope you're right, because I really don't want a Con-Sindel relationship ever again.
No, I think that
Wife.
that's been off the table, but at the same time, they could be showing us this whole conflict and then again misdirecting us.
Yeah, I know.
Um,
And also, that scene where she's kind of talking about Shao Kahn in the third person towards the beginning, as we talked about. Maybe that's misdirection too. Maybe she's actually secretly in love with him.
I'm hoping not. I'm hoping that this specific point regarding Sindel not being evil and being Shao Kahn's wife is something that is left behind in MK11. I personally really think that Sindel's character suffered as a result of that. So Sindel says you would consign us to endless war. Shao is a warmonger, as he always has been.
Yeah.
And he's clearly the same that we would expect of him, just this time with horns and with an axe.
Yeah.
Now, we then see Shao fighting and killing the Umgadi,
Right.
meaning there's some form of revolt by Shao, which relates back to our Umgadi trailer analysis too, because we believe that Li Mei was fighting with Tanya because she's trying to go and warn the royal family about Shao. But the most interesting part of this scene for me is where Sindel says, "Did not your illustrious father teach you that war is the last resort? Do not forget that, General." She, firstly, so much venom in her voice. Do not forget that, General. But then, Shao's father.
I know. Like, we've never had a Shao's father before. A lot of people have been throwing out the theory that his father is now Onaga or something like that. I think it would be more interesting if it wasn't Onaga, honestly. And then also that statement too, your illustrious father teach you that war is the last resort. Onaga, he's no stranger to war. So I don't know, that kind of makes me feel like if his father was Onaga, then this is a different Onaga than what we're used to. But if it's not, it's interesting. Like, you have a illustrious, somebody that Queen thinks is illustrious, and they think that war is the last resort.
But
as opposed
she could
to...
have said that in a way where it was meant to sound like okay, she didn't mean it seriously, it was sort of
like sarcasm.
she might not have any respect for his father too,
Yeah, that's a good point too.
I don't know, like, I'm wondering, I'm getting the vibes that he could have a sort of Rain situation where he had an adoptive father, perhaps. But
I don't think so. From that bio that he has, and just a quick overview of it, basically he was born, what was the word?
Very weak.
Yeah, very weak. And his father taught him how to compensate for that, and then he just took a bunch of whey powder and became General Shao.
Okay, I mean, Phantom's description is quite apt, but I think it might be better to give a little bit more information. Sickly child who, though brilliant and eager, had an infirm body. His disability infuriated his father. That already sounds to me like maybe the illustrious part of what Sindel is saying isn't meant, as a positive thing. He dismissed his son's physicians and designed an extreme program ninja warrior, to build his son's strength and endurance. Years of toil molded Shao into a physical colossus and forged him with an iron will, and he became a perfect soldier. His brilliant tactics, relentless effort won Outworld many victories and him much fame. And his loyalty is to Outworld, but it says in his bio that if Sindel's rule ever endangers Outworld, he will be the first to try to end it.
Rule be endangering Outworld right now?
Well, he might believe so. He specifically says to her, better that than being Liu Kang's lapdog, which I find ironic considering how he was in MK11. At least prior to Aftermath.
Yeah.
But for me, the most telling part of this, aside from his horns, are one, his skin, which looks very scaly.
Mm-hmm.
Two, his armor, which has fangs on it, and in my opinion, looks like dragon insignia.
Was armor, even in the 2D era, his armor had fangs. I mean, it was a skull, but it was a skull with fangs.
But this time, it's less skull-like. The only skull you see on him now is the skull on his face, the helm. Now, his
you're talking like
armor, like the belt, for example, and the chest piece.
Yeah.
They're all very, in my opinion, dragon-like. Then on top of that, in his actual gameplay, this looks very different from the gameplay we've seen of him previously. Look at that. That looks like fire almost. Right? Like corrupt fire, maybe dragon fire, I don't know. Or, this is my other theory, hellfire. Because we said that Onaga might be his father. But what if it's
What if it's Hanzo?
Well, oh my god. I did not see that one coming.
Scorpion is Shao Kahn's father, confirmed.
No, I don't think that's the case. There's no way. There's no way. If it is, oh my god.
He is illustrious. Oh my god.
It's either Onaga, Lucifer, who was the previous ruler of the Netherrealm, who was taken out by Shinnok and Quan Chi. Quan Chi, we do see him returning in this game. And then my final crackpot theory is Belloc.
Out of everybody you mentioned, it's either going to be Onaga or the Dragon King Onaga. Like
Onaga or Onaga, right?
Yeah, I don't see anybody else from that list making it into the series. Like,
but Belloc would make a lot of sense based on.
But I don't think that's what we're going to get. I don't see, like, even in all the 3D characters we've been bringing in, I mean, most of them had appearances in X and 11, even if just background characters. So I don't see that being the case, especially a rumor character. I'm not saying we don't get rumor characters in Mortal Kombat, but I don't know. It's too obscure for the fan base, I think.
Sorry, I mean, it could be, but at the same time, you never know. I am leaning mostly towards it being Onaga, but that also could be a very straightforward answer, if you get me. So it could be something completely different from what we both think.
Yeah.
There are a lot of potential allusions to Onaga in this game so far.
It could be Jimmy Khan, Shao's father, you know?
I don't want peace. I want problems, always.
Sindel's moves are looking, well, very Sindel. We did get a combat cast on her, but it does seem like the Banshee is gone, which is
yes, that's a good point.
A welcome sight, to be honest. I didn't like that addition. I prefer it just being like Sonic abilities. Now, they are fighting in what has been confirmed to be Shang's lab. And we did discuss this very briefly in the Ungadi trailer because we see Melina sitting in that exact chair.
Oh, yeah, we did. We talked on there too, didn't we?
Yes, and Kenshi was looking over her and everything while she was transforming. Maybe she wasn't transforming there, but that was the scenes. Those were the scenes that we saw. Now, the reason I think that it's important to look on this trailer specifically is because we actually get to see what's on the board behind the chair this time. We could not see that in the previous trailer. And if you look at it, we're seeing, as I suggested previously, skeletons.
So, skeletons. So does that mean that this is a manufactured disease, possibly. You know, why would Shang Tsung be so interested in anatomy in this timeline?
I mean, he's always been, you know, somebody who thirsts for knowledge and power.
And I guess there's always a flesh pit, so...
And the flesh pits, exactly, yes. And
it gives me an Alien Covenant vibe, though.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I do. That does make sense. But it's also very interesting that we're seeing a lot of centaur skeletons and diagrams and such. And I think more so than any other, actually. Because we don't only see a diagram of a centaur skeleton on the board, we also see an actual centaur skeleton on the other side of the arena. So...
Also, the drawings, too, have a Tarkatan-style mouth, and that's why I'm kind of curious if this, like we've talked about in our Tarkatan breakdown episodes, that Tarkat could be a disease that's manufactured or something that maybe Shang's looking for a cure for. There's so many theories, but I do think that at this point, everything leads back to Shang Tsung.
We gather once again to honor my late husband's legacy, to continue the tournament that he founded with Lord Liu Kang.
Empress Sindel,
Let us meet your champion.
Earthrealm's champion is Raiden, Your Majesty.
Okay, so this scene has a lot of cuts in it, and I watched this several times to break this one down, just so you know, because we're about to go into this pretty deep. Okay. But first of all, you know, Sindel says, we gather around once again to honor my late husband's legacy to continue the tournament that we founded with Lord Liu Kang. So, you know, that implies that King Jared is the co-founder of Mortal Kombat. Congratulations, King Jared.
If it's Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, which, you know, we're all presuming that it is. But what if it's not? What if it's another tournament?
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm sort of leaning towards, because this seems to be more fun than anything. Mm-hmm. You know, like I say fun, like for the festival or as a show of faith between both realms, etc.
Yeah, it could be like a demonstration tournament.
Exactly.
So this scene, everything is very much out of order. The first scene we see here is the whole group walking towards the Pelicans with Kitana Melina leading them. The scene immediately after shows Kitana slightly bowing and Melina isn't really moving, but this is them greeting Earthrealm's champions. So the scenes are kind of backwards.
Well, I mean, we did address this specific scene that you just said of them coming out of the portal in our previous trailer analysis, because we saw them coming out, and if you remember, that scene was specifically the one where Ed Boon specifically tweeted, "Who is that in the back?" about one of the monks. And I said, oh, this is the same scene, just from a different angle. And now, before you move to the next scene, I think it's kind of important to note, watch how they all come out of the portal, walk towards them, and then 3 of the monks, as far as I can see, bow down. The rest of the characters don't, including the 2 monks at the back.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So why are those 2 monks not bowing down? Bearing in mind that Ed specifically said one of them at least was very important. Who is that? He could be trolling us.
Yeah. Well, also, so the way that these scenes seem to actually progress is that everybody walks out of the portal, they walk up to Kitana Melina, and then from there, they all get led out to the Pelicans. It's very much out of order to trick you. And then the next scene shows Liu Kang bowing to Kitana Melina, but then it cuts over to Sindel, Kitana Melina sitting on the thrones.
Yes.
Completely different part of the cinematics. So.
And in that scene that we see right after Liu Kang bows, Kitana is on the right of Sindel. Melina is on the left. Now that I find interesting, because I would have figured that Melina would be on the right of Sindel if she was the heir.
Yeah, because the right side is usually your side of power, and that's where you keep your higher ups.
But it could be that Kitana is her right-hand woman, you know, instead. So I'm not sure if there's any significance in that, but I did find that interesting. And then also, we only see out of the group that we just saw coming out of the portal, Raiden, Kenshi, Johnny, Liu, and Kung Lao, and none of the monks. But also, if you look at Kung Lao's hat, that is one razor sharp bladed hat.
Yes. So at some point, we get rid of that straw hat.
This hat looks seriously cool, by the way. I mean, it reminds me of some of his gear pieces from MK11, but I think that this looks really, really good.
Oh yeah, I do too. It's a cool design, I think, for him. I mean, I love the razor brimmed hat, but having the saw blade hat is it was an X2, wasn't it? And it was a cool variation that you could fight with. I liked fighting with that with Kung Lao.
Let us meet your champion.
Earthrealm's champion is Raiden, Your Majesty.
Who is none other than the
Kung Lao? No.
Thunder God, Lightning God, Raiden. It's normal average Joe Raiden. He is the champion.
I find it very interesting once again that Kung Lao is overlooked, and that is something that we do need to address as well, because he and Raiden, between those two, would you not have expected that it would once again be the descendant of the great Kung Lao, and instead it goes to Raiden, which is kind of like Liu Kang with Kung Lao in the previous timeline?
Well, yeah. The thing is, I think, ever since the Warner Brothers era of Mortal Kombat, Kung Lao has been too brash to ever become the chosen one. And, the great Kung Lao was probably chosen, and then now Kung Lao's descendant isn't, because he is not the great Kung Lao. And like I said, in this timeline, he just has too much of an attitude to ever become the chosen one. And that's something that I think is always going to be the case. Kung Lao is always going to be second fiddle.
Yeah, it's a shame. I really did prefer the OG timeline of Kung Lao. That air of mystery was what was really cool with Kung Lao.
Yeah, that was the coolest part about him. Nobody really knew how Kung Lao was alive, because the only thing we knew about was the great Kung Lao, and then all of a sudden Kung Lao is here and he has a hat. And yeah, the more Kung Lao's story has evolved and been explained, the less cool he has become, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Is it me? Or is Earthrealm's champion scrawnier than usual?
All right, so next scene is Shao Kahn confronting
Shao
everybody.
Kahn? Or General Shao?
Yanni. So he says, is it me or is Earthrealm's champion scrawnier than usual? This scene is actually, it is in the throne room, but it is not a direct follow-up to Raiden being presented to Sindel. If you notice, nobody's gathered around Sindel anymore. Nobody's standing in front of her during this introduction. It's more like a dinner party conversation. And
yes.
Yeah, Khan just kind of walks up and is like, hey, you're pretty scrawny. It's like, it's kind of like, reminds me of a pride fight dinner party, or two pride fighters kind of run into each other like, you ain't nothing, I'm going to take you down. It's that kind of a feel to it, rather than a Khan's going to step in and interrupt everybody to talk about how scrawny Raiden is.
Well, it's actually, if I am getting this correct, it's in the Great Hall, which is where we see Li Mei and Kung Lao fighting in a separate trailer. Is it not?
Yeah, it is.
No, Li Mei and Raiden fighting, sorry.
Yeah, that's where it's at. And it's also in the Umgadi trailer, as we see Li Mei walk in. It's that same Great Hall that we're seeing. So yeah, this is one of the areas, and this could lead to a demonstration fight, in the story. Who knows where this is going to go?
If you're looking at Shao's face, you can actually see how, remember we mentioned that his skin looks kind of scaly. He doesn't seem to have like a full body of scales, if you get me. Yeah. And he seems to have kind of fangs too. So I'm wondering if maybe he's a half breed between species. If you look at his eyes as well, his pupils are very different from what you would expect. And then also around his horns and on top of his head, there are scales which sort of lean up like sort of mini horns too.
Textured scale, like
look at the top of his head. It's actually spikes.
Yeah.
And that's in addition to his ears being pointy.
I don't know. I think there's a good argument that Shao is definitely half dragon.
Yeah.
Or part dragon in this timeline.
And I mean, that was a rumor as well, I think, during MK11, was it?
Yeah, there was some intro dialogues which kind of hinted at basically everybody's related dragons. It's not anything that's canonical, because intro dialogues are never really canonical, but you know, even something hinting at possibly Liu Kang being half dragon or part dragon, and but like we said, it's nobody ever flat out came out and said that. It was just hints and intro dialogue, which take that for what it's worth.
He has earned his place by embodying the very best qualities of Earthrealm's people.
I am ready, Your Majesty. Whom shall I face?
Okay, so here we get to see a little bit more of the Shaolin training, and we get to see those monks that we were talking about just a few minutes ago, but a better view of them. Seems to be 4 main monks that we're kind of seeing throughout this cinematic here.
Yes.
I like to call them fighting Mohawk monk. I mean, that's one of them I noticed, and
It's
that's
not a
one of the
mohawk.
ones.
It's a wolf tail, isn't it?
Is that what it is? Is it a
Yeah,
wolf
and
tail?
it's
Does it
actually
go all the way down?
It goes down to here, and I actually wanted to draw attention to that because the next scene has somebody with a very, very similar hairstyle.
Oh, the person dusting themselves off.
The person dusting themselves off.
Yeah.
There's no way that's not Reiko. That's got to be Reiko.
I saw that. I 100% thought that was Reiko too. But Reiko's not a Shaolin monk.
He's not. No, I just used it as a sort of segue.
Okay. So yeah, I saw this. There is somebody that gets dusted off, which kind of makes me wonder if there has already been a confrontation. And yeah, Reiko got beat up, and
he looks kind of groggy, as if somebody is saying like finish him, and he's just like.
Yeah, exactly. He definitely looks like he got beat up, whoever this is. So,
because I'm looking at his face, the reason I'm saying it's Reiko is firstly the armor, and secondly, if you look at his eyes, he's got the markings.
Yeah.
So there is no way that's not Reiko, and I'm really hoping that means that Reiko is confirmed to be a fighter.
Maybe we'll find out. We got one more combat cast before the actual final game comes out. So,
if Reiko is in, I've got too many mains.
So going back to the Shaolin monks, though, you know, whenever the portal scene was first shown in the Umgadi trailer, a lot of people were going around saying, "Oh, is that Kai?" and circling Mohawk monk. And you know, I never really understood that sentiment, but in this scene there is a monk who looks like he could be Kai. I don't know if you noticed that or not. So
yes,
we might get Kai in this game still. I mean, there's still a couple slots left.
And also bear in mind that even if there aren't enough slots left, and that like those slots go to like Reiko and potentially somebody else, then maybe they could be in the story, just not playable at first.
Yeah, or it could be in the combat pack even,
exactly.
as a cameo fighter or something like that. So I don't know. I think this is a good argument that Kai might be there as a monk, because he is one of those 2 monks that did not bow with everybody else, as you pointed out.
Oh, one thing to bear in mind is that I know you said that there are 4 main monks, but one of them, the one that you were calling Mohawk monk, even though it's not a Mohawk, is not in that scene of the 4 of them surrounding him.
I think it was the first one that got beat up. Hold on, let me.
Yeah, but he's not in the scene of the 4 surrounding Raiden.
Oh,
at the
gotcha.
End. Those are separate monks.
Yeah, so interesting.
I mean, there are multiple students. You know, maybe not. They're not all important. They could also be fodder.
Right. Yeah.
For the story.
I think there's gonna be some story fodder, and I kind of wonder if that's what happened to some of these monks. That
maybe that's why Ed said he's important. He go and die.
I mean, it's Mortal Kombat. Somebody has to die, and
a lot of people have to die.
Yeah, and people get mad when their favorites die. So, I think we're gonna lose a few monks in this storyline.
This was where Rain was revealed.
That's right. Back in the Lin Kuei trailer. Yeah. Yep. So we're back in that area.
Some form of treasury, it seems.
Yeah, we don't have an official name for it yet, though, do we?
No, we don't. But there's a lot of gold, so I call it the treasury.
Yeah. My favorite part, though, is Shujinko. And, I'm going to let you go ahead and talk about his gameplay in this because this is something that you noticed right away. And kudos for that because this is so cool to me.
Okay, well, I mean, when I saw Shujinko, firstly, both of us were like, is that Shujinko? Oh my god! And then when I looked at it, I realized that firstly, he's obviously very martial arts focused, using his fists, a hand behind his back and everything. But something he does is that he actually punches, I think, Xiao, and then immediately uses his axe right after that. And then if you see in the next scene as well, Raiden brings Shujinko in against Sindel. He punches her and then uses her backflip kick, I think.
Yeah, her flip kick thing.
So this is the perfect way of incorporating Shujinko. And I know a lot of people are like, well, yeah, it's Shujinko. Obviously he mimics, but I'm like, yeah, of course. But this is different from the Shujinko that we've always seen. Everybody can sit there and say, yes, Shujinko mimics. That's what we know. But the way he did it was he always trained with them to be able to gain their abilities and such. In Deception, they went the whole mile, I think, to save, cost on character models. But it was Shujinko literally turning into their character to be able to use their abilities. But this is a very different take, and in my opinion, an ingenious take. Because he literally goes in and does what I'm calling the APEP punch. Because I think, firstly, Boraicho has had the APEP punch or something like that, APEP something in MKX, but I was about to say Noob Saibot, wow. Ed Boon made a tweet about APEP's punch, and I think that that's what this move is going to be called. As a callback to APEP, who was another student who was directing Shujinko to Boraicho's dojo in MK Deception's Conquest mode. But yeah, so he punches his opponent and then uses one specific ability, it looks like, by borrowing it from them or stealing it from them temporarily.
Yep. I mean, with Shujinko being able to basically be, everybody's moveset, it's just a cool little thing for him to incorporate that into his cameo. So I'm so excited for that.
And I think it's the opposite of Chameleon. We did talk about this on the Umgadi trailer, but Chameleon's going to come in looking like her ally, I think. If that one could be completely wrong, but I also have a feeling that she's going to be using specific abilities which will change in some fashion depending on her ally as well.
Alright, so we haven't really talked about it, but it's pretty perfect for Motaro. I don't know if there's a lot we need to say about it. It's Motaro and all of his moves. He's just doing it with you.
He's got his reflective skin back. He's got his projectiles. He's using his tail. His teleport, like the energy blasts. Everything. Yeah. It's perfect. This is Motaro. I think the only thing that I would have liked to have seen differently with Motaro is they went with the whole stereotypical horse kick. I would have preferred instead of the kick or with the kick, he was using his tail as well, in my opinion. Give it a bit more Motaro identity rather than a horse's identity, if you get me. Yeah,
I hear what you're saying. But his fatality does incorporate his tail.
It does, to a very, very cool degree.
Right. One thing I found really cool about this gaming mechanic, though, is that right as Shao Kahn finally gets his final blows, gets hit for the final time, his axe goes flying up in the air. So he completely loses his axe, but it stays in the level. And it just kind of flies over to the wall and clanks down, and it's there as the rest of the fatality progresses. So, it's cool little things like that I really thought was neat in this
little
game.
Details.
Yeah, exactly. And then can we talk about Sindel's fatal blow? I think, that split move that she does, that one, you can even see our reaction on our live reactions where we saw that. I was just like, oh, that's the one fatal blow that I really felt.
It's funny because all the rest would 100% kill us.
Yeah.
This one is still the worst to see.
The rest would kill you, but this one, you don't want this one.
This one is where you want to be killed.
Yeah. And then that final line by Sindel, which is
Who's your queen?
It's just, it's perfect.
It's great, but I'm more interested in the fact that she's saying something during a fatality. Is this something she will say every fatality? Is this a scene specifically from the story?
Oh, I think
Is
it's
the audio from the story?
I think it's no. Her mouth is moving, so I think it is during the fatality.
Because it could have been a very story-specific fatality. They have done that in MK9, for example.
No, I don't think it's a story-specific fatality. I think it's her general fatality, and I think she's gonna ask every single person she kills.
Oh, I'm gonna get so tired of Sindel fatalities online, aren't I?
You are.
It's happening already. I can feel it. But my God, how she just rips their spine and skull up through their body.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's a lot of spine ripping in this game, which I'm here for. So with that, we would like to hear, what are your thoughts? Did you enjoy this trailer? Did we kind of show you guys anything that you hadn't really considered yet? Maybe, you thought these monks were insignificant, but now you're seeing them standing up like me. I didn't even realize that they did stay standing up as everybody else bowed. I mean, the disrespect in these monks. Let us know. Leave a comment in the below and tell us what you think.
Do you think it's Shujinko? Do you think it's Kai? Do you think it's somebody else that we're not thinking of, maybe?
I think it's Darius.
It's Darius?
Yanni, where can people find us?
People can find us on all social media platforms via @Realm Kast, and also interact with us on the Mortal Kombat Online Discord channel. We have our own channel on that server itself. So come down, chat with us, and wait for Mortal Kombat 1's official release with us, because we are so ready.
And lastly, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Your support is what propels us into our exploration of the fascinating world of Mortal Kombat. So until our next journey into the realms, stay curious, and remember, every warrior has a story, and every saga a lesson.